Hello, friend. Welcome to day 33 of 7:30. Today we're finishing up Genesis 38, and we're also doing Genesis 39. And from the New Living Translation, they read: Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangement had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance of the village of Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute, since she had covered herself or her face. So he stopped and propositioned her. "Let me have sex with you," he said, not realizing that she was his own daughter-in-law. "How much will you pay to have sex with me?" Tamar asked. 17, "I'll send a young goat from my flock," Judah replied. "But what will you give me as a guarantee that you will send a goat?" she asked. "What kind of a guarantee do you want?" he replied. She answered, "Leave me with your identification seal and its cord and the walking stick you are carrying." So Judah gave them to her. Then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. 19, afterwards, she went back home, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothes as usual. 20, later Judah asked his friend Hira, the Adulamite, to take the young goat to the woman and to pick up the things he had given her as his guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her. 21, so he asked the man who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road at the entrance of Enaim?" "We have never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. 22, so Hira returned to Judah and told him, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claim they have never had a shrine prostitute there." "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. "I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her. Would you be a laughing stock of the village if we went back to look for her?" 24, about 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now, because of this, she's pregnant. Bring her out and let her be burned," Judah demanded. But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law: "The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and the cord and the walking stick are these?" 26. Judah recognized them immediately and said, "She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah." And Judah never slept with Tamar again. 27. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet string around the child's wrist, announcing, "This one came out first." But then he pulled back his hand, and out came his brother. "What?" the midwife exclaimed. "How did you break out first?" So he was named Perez. 30, then the baby with a scarlet string on his wrist was born, and he was named Zerah. That was 38. Now 39. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, the Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. 2, the Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did, as he served in his home of his Egyptian master. 3, Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did, for this pleased Potiphar. So he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. 5, from the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. 6, so Potiphar gave Joseph complete administration responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about anything except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man. 7, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded. 8, but Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me, and everything in his with everything in his entire household. 9, no one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God." 10, she kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. 11. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. 12. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, come on and sleep with me, Joseph. But Joseph tore himself away. But he left his cloak in her hand as he ran from the house. When she saw that she was holding his cloak and he had fled, 14, she called out to her servants. Soon all the men around came running. Look, she said, my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard the scream, he ran outside and got away. He left his cloak behind with me. 16. She kept the cloak with her until her husband came back. 17. Then she told him the story. The Hebrew slave you brought out to our house tried to come in and fool around with me, she said. But when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me. 19. Potiphar was furious when he heard this, when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her. 20. So he took Joseph and threw him into prison where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. 21. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him his faithful love, and the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. 22. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything, and the Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. All right, so till we meet again tomorrow, stay blessed.